Hello everybody, welcome to the Sonic Boom Commentaries post-show, the video/podcast, where we discuss the previous episode that we've just commented on for the Sonic show, and we basically go through a load of things that we wanted to talk to at length but couldn't because there's only like 15 minutes worth of video that we can go and talk about. Plus there's important things like Donnie's highlight.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Donnie,
also
what did you like today?
Well, first things first, that trope that did get edited with cabin fever stuff that I couldn't really read in the pre-show. A mythology gag had added in the gag where cabin fever reveals that Tails is still afraid of lightning, which is an obvious reference to the OVA movie. So,
Was it?
I'm not sure if it was intentionally a reference.
Yeah, I doubt that it was an intentional one because, to be honest, Reed, there's been plenty of opportunities for Reed to put stuff in, and of all the things to put in, that would be a little bit out there, I think.
It would at least be a little too sneaky.
Yeah, it's probably more that Tails is the youngest.
To be fair, though,
Probably more that Tails is an adorable baby and we should be nice to him.
To be fair, and
give him lots of candy this Halloween.
Didn't Bill say in the interview
And
we had
Christmas,
with him that...
which is when this episode will actually go on.
Cat, let Donnie speak, for Christ's sake.
Okay, speak up, Donnie.
Didn't Bill say in the interview we had with him that there was an OVA reference that was going to show up in the season at some point?
I can't remember. He
I am
may have
sure
done, but
This would make sense though as a reference because this is the only reference people would probably recognize.
Well, that and the hat and the possibly groping.
well,
Beats
there was
me.
the Tower of Hats in the Sonic Boom comic, which referenced the OVA.
That was a good thing.
That was a that was a lovely piece of.
Thank you, Sam.
But yeah, so who was your highlight, Donnie? This is the important thing. Who was your highlight? Was it Eggman?
Yes.
Excellent. What of Eggman's non-performance was your highlight?
The part where he had gone to the store to get some more grapes.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Excellent.
In all actuality, though, I'm very torn about who is the highlight. It's a toss between Sonic and Knuckles. Knuckles because of those faces he made and the goofy one-liners he had, and Sonic just because of that one line where it was just like, don't, where he was just like, where it's like something just offended him about Knuckles saying, "TV, who needs that?" And it's just like,
who needs that? Sonic Boom needs that.
Well, he offended Sonic. He offended Sonic's Kingdom.
And Sonic just had a "oh no he didn't" moment. But I don't know. I kind of want to say Knuckles had a bit of the edge here because he had a lot more. He got more last out of me, even though that line Sonic said, which is brilliantly delivered. God, that was amazing. But yeah, I think Knuckles edged out as the highlight for me for this episode. It's interesting we had another Amy-focused one, though.
Well, this was sort of dealing with the... I mean, it references like a couple of things, I think, that has been dealt with before, but the idea of Amy's a bit of a buzzkill. When in actuality, no, Amy just has different ideas of fun. That's not being a buzzkill.
I would have gone to her craft class.
That's just Amy being Amy. That's Amy being your friend.
Amy's just a weird and kind of terrible friend.
Kind of terrible friend? What do you mean kind of terrible? Explain this. I invite you to justify your statement that Amy is a terrible friend.
That's alright, I need to just... Okay, not so much terrible friend as inconsistently written to the point where she can't be perceived as a terrible friend.
That
Not in the episode, but in general in the entire project.
That I would agree with. Amy, more than anyone, just yo-yos everywhere. In terms of what the character's primary motivation is, I think, actually. Is it jealous Amy we've got today? Is it selfless Amy we've got today? Is it kick-ass Amy we've got today? Is it like
is it
super
Amy
best
who
friend Amy we've
makes
got
I
today?
statements, or Amy who doesn't like I statements? That's a very particular complaint I had with last episode, actually.
There's the selfless Amy and there's the selfish Amy. But then again, the selfish Amy is generally started off by people taking advantage of the selfless Amy. It's a weird one.
Just to let me know that the character constantly contradicting themselves is not the basis of a complex character.
I think the problem is that although it's not like, I think compared to Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Sticks, where you know what their personality is, Amy's not as obvious. She's more complicated, it seems, and like I can understand the bossiness. Like, it's more like I look towards, like, say, Shay Amy, where she didn't have the bossy side at first, but she gradually got it. So she obviously does have a bossy side, but to make that like the entirety of the episode, I don't know. That's what I get baffled by. Is why it becomes the entirety of the episode. It should be more of a side thing.
I get what you're saying there, Donnie, actually, because it is almost like
her bossiness should be justified by the events of the episode and what would be a reaction for her to it, rather than her just being bossy at all.
The thing is, she is bossy, and it has shown in the series that she does have a bossy side, and it does crop up in certain circumstances. But that isn't her only thing. Like, she is, she organizes well. She is caring and more polite and open-minded than the others, and she's more independent and strong and stuff like that, and compared to the others, and that sense, like, more of what she's like with Fuzzy Puppy Buddies, where she, she's a lot more carefree and stuff. Here, it's not so much that she's not carefree; it's that she just seems like she's very, very huge perfectionist. It's that perfectionism that you don't see, as that being just her thing. But the thing is, though, is I guess in this episode I can sort of make an exception because everyone was in her house. So she would naturally be a little bit more uptight about what's happening in her house. But I mean, she was like this in last week's episode, where she was just basically just a killjoy and like got very snarky with Sonic at the end for no particular reason. But it's okay that to be not a killjoy. Like this, she is. In fact, being a killjoy is basically what she isn't. Like, that has nothing to do with her bossiness or her personality at all.
From Amy's point of view, from Amy's point of view, in this episode, she's offered them shelter. She's trying to give them entertainment. She's trying to give them, trying to keep them fed and keeping their mind off things. And it's like they've not exactly said thank you or anything, and they've just showed a deep unappreciation for everything that Amy's done. From their side from the guy's side of things, it's like, ugh, why is Amy doing all this stuff for us? It's one of those, but there is this thing about the characters, and it's like they have a personality trait. It's like they're sort of something but something. So we've got Tails, who is smart, but who sort of lacks in confidence and is a bit naive. You've got Sonic, who's he's brave, he's the hero, but he's also a bit of a jerk.
Egotistical, yeah.
He's egotistical. Knuckles is like super confident. in what he does, he might be wrong, but he's actually like super confident and in who he is. But Knuckles isn't the smartest echidna on the block with the buff chest.
Well, technically Knuckles is the smartest echidna on the block with the buff chest because there's no other echidnas.
One thing that...
That's actually sad.
Yet.
One thing that fanfic that Amy did right does indicate is how the writers feel all the characters are. Because
that's a good point, actually.
Because, it's basically what we were saying. Tails is naive, Sonic is egotistical, Knuckles is stupid, and Tails, like I said, is naive, and Styx is paranoid. Amy is confident and thinks she's capable to do anything, and, and the thing is, though, is that I'm guessing they're wanting to make her emotional, too, but I don't think it's going in the right way of things. Like,
it's also Knuckles. It's like Amy technically is like the emotional compass of the group.
It's just,
I guess,
like,
Amy is traditionally the emotional compass of the group. I'm not sure if she's quite the emotional compass of the group in this. I'm not sure there is an emotional compass.
The thing about the Boom comics is that that kind of adds to the emotional theory is what happens when Amy lost her hammer. She went into a complete depression and just went hysterical at it because of it. Which, again, like, falls in line...
That was a traumatic time. What would you do if you had lost your hammer?
But that was actually dealt with. That was part of her identity.
And she's kind of emotional.
Which was it was a great comic, actually. So if you haven't got that comic, guys, go and buy it.
It's just, by emotional, it seems like I don't know what it is about this mindset, but it seems to get a bit misguided at times, where they think emotional must mean she must always be uptight and no fun allowed, and not so much bossy, because you get like some kind of bossiness even if you're having a fun time, you're carefree and stuff, but to basically just not want to do anything at all and just even tell them to like sit down and not do anything, that's not what Amy does. Even Amy's alright with doing stuff like shooting, like the previous episode, she was shooting at having herself shot out of a cannon. I mean,
it's
she has no problem with that stuff.
Yeah, it's not like Amy isn't one of the guys.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah, guys is in a group. Let's not get into genderization. Then it goes back to the personality, but because you said Styx is paranoid. Yeah, Styx is paranoid, but generally Styx has a point.
She's also rebellious, as we learned in last week's episode.
Yeah, she's got that about her. Maybe not Styx is paranoid, but Styx goes against convention. But the contrary of that is that obviously that nobody really takes any notice of it, but she's often right. Eggman is he's the big villain, he's evil, but at the same time, as a character that we see behind the scenes, is actually quite a needy character.
Yeah,
and there's this sort of insecurity there about Eggman as natural person.
But, yeah, like basically what we're saying is that it's not some there's a borderline between just being out of character and just being confused about what your character actually is.
Exactly. So there you have with Amy, when you come to say, oh, Amy is something but something, you can't do it. Because there's about 3 different Amys. Yeah,
there's sweet, caring Amy. There's cranky, uptight, very, very no fun allowed Amy. And then there's the Amy who just doesn't give a crap about anything. There's
unrationally angry Amy.
She's very complicated, and it's like I said, it's not like the others, like Styx.
Yeah.
Where what they are, what they are trying to go at with those characters. Amy, on the other hand, there's just no telling what she's going to be like in an episode. I mean, it kind of adds an interesting dynamic in a way, because you're like, okay, what's she going to be like this time? And it
how's she feeling?
Yeah, how is Amy feeling? You know,
How are things suiting you today?
it's just
Sweetheart,
it's just for
let me get you a drink.
It's just
Do you need a soothing drink or an alcoholic one today?
it's just for a show that like makes a big deal about, okay, the character has this flaw about them, and then this character has that flaw about them. You know, Amy doesn't have that kind of aspect. She's completely different from the other four, and even Eggman. And hell, even Eggman, even though Amy and Eggman seem to relate more somehow, even Eggman has like a solid personality that we can understand. Eggman is childish. You know, he tends to throw tantrums when stuff doesn't go his way. For example, flipping tables. Uh, and it just seems, yeah, and he'll throw pillow fights and be very, very childish, and you know, and that's Eggman. But like everyone there, like even the villagers, even last week's character, as annoying as he was, you knew what he was. Like you get what the writers were trying to get at. But with Amy, like with every passing week, I just get more and more confused about what her character is supposed to be. And I'm not saying she's out of character or anything. I'm saying that she doesn't really have any character at all that we can go by. So, and it's complete opposite from what the SSMB, like, I've been teasing, like, multiple times in this that, like, the SSMB has been, like, debating / arguing about something. They're more making a point about how mean-spirited everyone is. Not about, like, they're basically saying no one's, like, has a character at all. It's more like everyone's had a character because they're being mean-spirited. When I really, like, I can sort of, like, I'll be upfront about it. There is mean-spiritedness in the show. There's no question about it. Jessica was a classic example of that, you know. But there's a borderline between being jerkish and just, you know, having your flaws shown. Where, like, for example, you might have a flaw where you know, go on about something too much. Me. You might have a flaw where you
meow a lot in the background.
Yeah, me. You may have.
Damn it, Donnie! Why did you just meow?
What okay. Like everyone has flaws. Everyone has very, you know, telling personalities that may or may not contradict what's good about them. You know, you might have you may be the sweetest thing, but there's a side of you that's you have a temper. You know, that's your flaw. It's everyone has that, and I think that's what a lot of people seem to get confused about. Is like there's a point where it is being a jerk, and they're just, you know, being themselves. Here in this case, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Sticks were being themselves. Amy, like I said, I still don't even know, honestly. But if anything, I'd say the problem is more in line of what is Amy's character supposed to be exactly, and that is not necessarily the mean-spiritedness is not the problem. Although, to be fair, it's more of a problem with the villagers, if anything. But for Sonic and them, I don't think that's the issue. I don't think them being mean-spirited. For the majority of the series, they have not been mean-spirited, really. And if they have been mean-spirited, it has either been, you know, for lulz, you know, for pure laughs, because friends do that, I would know. I'm the classic example of someone who has mean-spirited stuff pointed at them jokingly. I would know.
Protect the Donnie at all costs.
Yeah, and then there's also episodes like Just a Guy that are just one-off whats, you know. Those tend to be the examples of mean-spiritedness. But really, if there's any mean-spiritedness, it's just them being themselves. Screw the villagers, though. They're just being mean-spirited.
Screw the villagers.
But anyway. Hi.
Oh, don't mind me. I was going.
That's like how many
tangents
now? How many tangents now have I done in this series?
I thought it was the other guy on TSSZ who used to do the tangent.
I don't know, but to be fair, that was in text, not audio.
Ah, dear. Other things. Knuckles being smart.
Knuckles having an incredibly smart plan.
Yeah, incredibly smart plan. Okay.
You won't take my blankets? Let's see how you take my blankets now.
Yeah. Sonic.
But now I'm cold. Damn it.
Sonic leading some sort of popularist uprising against Knuckles, who he deems to be a dictator, when in truth, all four of them
Sonic's entire persona, and the fact that everybody else has clocked onto this sort of persona.
It's Styx being the actual one who was like, okay, war. I am going to invade your country while you're not looking. Also, Styx found oil.
Oh boy.
There's oil in Workbench, yeah? Or so she heard.
Oh boy.
Oh dear. And it all went downhill from there. Yeah, I really do love the subtle thing about Sonic using books to protect television. That it's such a nice little thing.
The entire thing that Sonic just goes for the TV. Where would you like to build your fort, Sonic? The TV. He can play the video games on it.
Also, actually, every time we've gone into Amy's house, there's been a distinct array of really nicely modelled things.
Every time we've been into her house, we've genuinely been into her house. And there has been a focus on her house.
Yeah, but it's like the amount of objects that are actually... The amount of modelled objects that are actually a part of that room is huge. Because we just spent a large portion of the episode completely dismantling the room, so... And putting the objects in different orders and things. So every time that we see something, though, it's like a really beautiful object. Like it's one of the pieces of, it's one of the artifacts, or the crystal unicorn was quite something. That was nice. The books that Sonic made his shelter out of, if you look at the books, were actually really nice. Because they were all very sort of old tomes, really. Something you expect a wizard to have in his library, as opposed to Amy Rose.
Well, it makes sense because this version of Amy is meant to be an archaeologist.
I thought you were going to say he's meant to be a wizard then. And I'm now slightly disappointed.
Is there a wizard in this room? I'm going to open this door now, and there's going to be a wizard behind this door. Look, an invisible wizard dipper. What the hell?
Good reference. Okay, so the next episode in the new series. Next episode in the new series, Amy becomes a wizard. Please, and then she sings a song.
Amy Potter.
You're a wizard, Amy. Shouldn't that be witch? Whichever you prefer.
Amy, the teenage witch.
Hey, it's crossover potential for the comics. Oh wait,
they already did that. Well, sort of. They did Sally meeting Sabrina.
I just find it amusing that, at long last, we know what is going on. Like we know what all the episodes are.
We know what's going on.
No, I mean like with all the episodes. Like I realized what I said, and I was just like, wait, I should elaborate more.
Yeah.
Like we know what all the episodes are going to be now.
Yes, this is true.
It took until.
It's nothing you.
we know next week is supposed, as far as we know, it's supposed to be called what was it called? Crap. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, it's called Crap. Be warned, this episode may not air.
It was something about productiveness. That was
I'm trying to find the link, 'cause I think you sent it, didn't you?
Counterproductive. That's what it was. Yeah,
There we
counterproductive
go.
is the name. Counterproductive is the name of next week's episode, and then the week after that is "It Takes a Village to Defeat a Hedgehog." So we know the final two episode names,
Yeah.
and we know roughly what they're going to be about. I think Knuckles is supposed to be like the assistant to an archaeologist in next week's episode, and of course we know what's going to happen in the following episode.
As
Spoiled.
opposed to counterproductive being about how Knuckles gets a job at a factory that makes bits for board games.
Oh, so that's how Fuzzy Puppy Buddies was born. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuzzy
It
Puppies.
was a concept that Knuckles came up with while he was working in in a factory that produced things for tiddlywinks.
I can't wait to see him make the board game Risk. Then it's just the
Knuckles is but that would be the sort of
Knuckles
thing
is
that
my
would happen in
favourite
this
duelist.
instead of instead of conquering countries, you're just conquering exploding ducks that are cute. So every time you roll the dice, you just hear, "Hey there, little fella."
Pay us to make these games for you. They won't be any good, but we'll try.
Hey there, little fella.
Hey, little fella.
Hey little fella, do
And
what you
and then the baby head spider thing comes out.
The Donny family.
I was quoting Toy Story, but there we go.
I don't know. I've had the.
It's Halloween. What can I say?
It's Halloween. It is when we're recording anyway, guys. So
It's spoopy. This was the spookiest Sonic episode ever.
where does that come from?
Spoopy, I think, is from
Spoopy Scary Skeletons or something?
a piece of Halloween merchandise in the store that was
Misspelled.
a bunch of blocks, and the K block wasn't in it, and somebody put the P block in,
Huh.
and they located Spoopy.
Spoopy family.
And then obviously, that's an internet joke now.
Well, everything is an internet joke now, so I mean...
Everything is an internet joke now.
Everything is eventually a joke.
Jokenet.
Everything is internet, and internet is everything.
And internet is for life, not just to Christmas.
The 90s came true. We are stuck in virtual reality.
Well, of course it's not just for Christmas.
Oh, good.
Christmas already passed.
That helps me no end. For
Well,
reasons.
Christmas already passed, so I mean...
Yeah, the ultimate thing that any virtual reality blog can discuss is the discovery that we are, in fact, living in the Matrix. Suddenly, a really obscure section of gaming is going to become a really important scientific breakthrough.
Well, considering how much the space-time continuum has been bent in this commentary so far...
Yeah, but that
I'd
was
say
you.
But I'm saying that it has been bent so far, multiple times.
I
So I'm
think
saying, like,
that's
it must be
you.
the Matrix then.
I think you'll find that the well-known scientific authority Jamiroquai made the theorem that we all live in virtual insanity. So
Possibly.
who knows? Cat may be right in the end.
I'm insane.
Well, I am, and that's why I'm going to see doctors soon.
I'm insane.
I'm in need of a drink. So
I have a drink.
on that basis, I think we can wrap things up for now.
Yay!
Yay! Please, everybody, like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave lots of comments. Lots of comments. I did say
Please love us.
I did say on the commentary itself that please put up your comments for like your favourite episode, favourite characters, what your favourite moment was, what stuff that you didn't necessarily like.
Also, if you didn't like the entire show and the entire concept,
Why are
you
you
could
still
probably make a reasonable comment. You could probably post a reasonably sized and reasonably written comment.
Yeah, but what writers did you like? What everything? It was like
what was your favourite depiction of food in this series?
Expectations. What you would like to see in season 2?
It's hard to believe that this time last year, we didn't even know what the show was going to be like.
Everything about the show at this time last year was just like, this is going to be a disaster.
That, or like, who in the hell knows where it's going to go. Some were getting increasingly optimistic by this time because of the Sonic Boom event kind of helped us get an idea of things with the script reading. But as of this time last year, we really did not know entirely what the episodes would be. We didn't know anything about the writing at the time. We didn't know, like, what we know now is what we've learned in the past year is really amazing. Like, and it's going to be interesting because this coming season we'll have. I don't think there's going to be any direction that's going to be changed. I definitely think though we have a better idea of what's going to be happening, for this coming season than we did for season 1 because we actually now know what the writing's like. And we know now what kind of plots they're going with and, what direction they're taking.
So yeah, tell us everything. Which characters would you maybe like to see added in? And how would you like to see them? How would you like to see Metal Sonic used in the future? How would you like to see Shadow used in the future? Because we know Shadow's.
Would you like to see Metal Sonic actually used in the future?
Yeah, would you like to see Metal Sonic be in an episode and actually have a point to him being there? That would be great.
We still haven't solved that mysterious shadow in the window that claimed to be.
I told you it was Zor. It was Zor of the Deadly Six. It's the only thing in the entirety of the franchise that I can find that remotely looks like that shadow. Anyway, also let us know which Donnie is your favourite Donnie.
My favourite Donnie is the Donnie.
Funny enough, that's my favourite as well, but who knows? People may think differently. And then hopefully we'll be able to, on episode 52, hopefully we'll have some of the Boom team on. We're hoping to get Bill, but it'd be nice if we could obviously maybe try and get a couple of the others on maybe as well. But a bit of party, a celebration into the series.
Season, yeah.
Who knows? We may be able to coax out some information about what's going on. And then we can find out 30 episodes later that it was all a lie. But apart from that,
for all we know, the reason why we haven't had Bill on in a while is probably because of the fact that we keep accusing him of lying.
No, he's going off around Oktoberfest. Also, it wasn't so much accusing him of lying. It was just saying, "Hey, those stuff you said turned out not to be true."
For all we know,
it wasn't accusing him of lying, it was pointing out that he was lying, which is slightly different because we can provide evidence of it.
For all we know, Oktoberfest may have been a lie.
Oh no, there's plenty of pictures. There's another picture at another event from less than a day ago.
Photoshop.
Yeah, it turns out that actually Bill Freiberg isn't at Oktoberfest at all. It's just all behind the scenes photos of Sonic Boom Season 2 development. With just him in.
This makes sense.
Photoshopped onto him.
This makes a lot of sense.
Like, obviously,
Donnie is now Styx, apparently, everybody. But
Bill Freiberger is working for the government, making sure that
he's getting all his ideas for episodes from your shoes.
He's getting ready to launch the New World Sports Tape Order, where everyone is going to be ushered into a new era of sports tape relegations, so the Earth can become one giant mummy. I don't know where I'm going.
This paranoid rant was paid for by Sonic Paradox.
Paranoidox.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go off and get Donnie his medicine, and you guys can please do a comment and subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast version and going, but you, the guy that we can't remember the name of, how can we comment? Well, go onto the Facebook page for the Sonic Show. Best do that version. And when the episode comes up, you can put a question in there. There's Last Minute Continue has an Ask FM, or you can just tweet us at Last Min Continue, and put that hashtag as Sonic Boom or something, so we know.
You can send us questionable materials.
No. Okay, Kat wants all the questionable materials. Okay, there we go.
We've read a couple of Sonic Show fan fictions. Write some fan fiction of us. Let's see how that works out.
Do we really need another of them?
No, don't start writing fan fiction of us.
Okay, I'll start writing fan fiction of
I've already
us.
put into like 3 or 4 fan fictions in the past few years, so I haven't really.
No writing fan fictions.
Do we really need more of Amy's fan fictions too? I mean,
Yes.
Why?
Sort of.
I don't, because I foresee the writers getting some kind of own back joke in at our expense in season 2 as it is. I'm starting to get really worried about that.
If that happened, I would honestly just be shocked, because like
That'd be so cool.
It would, but I'm not counting on it. Like, I'd be shocked if we somehow got snuck into the.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a sly thing, since we've gone on about them, right? So, oh dear. There'll be 3 of them, and they'll be talking about a television show, and they'll be making a load of really weird comments that make no sense.
Now, obviously, all our usernames will be quickly referenced in a single line.
There'll be like a sly reference.
Shapes to sound like it's just a random thing that Styx is saying.
Yeah, well, that'll be it. That'll be the real thing, is that the Styx will be a fan of the show.
Those like Styx might go on a paranoid rant, but saying like, who knows? There might be people watching us right now, commentating about our every move or every action.
Yeah, that'll be it. That
Cuts to us.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then breaks fourth wall to look at the screen. Yeah.
No, I mean cuts to us watching videos.
Oh God. That would be.
Actually, it wouldn't cut to us. It would cut to like Roger and some of the others, like on a sofa.
Oh my God.
As a reality breaking gag again.
Oh my God.
Roger typing on a keyboard on the internet. Just.
Sonic's arms are not Peach. There we go.
Oh,
Sonic's arms can be whatever he wants them to be. Yeah, done. Right,
Green eyes are
please do that. We're going to
nice.
worry about what's going to happen next year. For now, though, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please do those comments. It's going to be important for the episodes coming up. But we'll see you next week for episode 51, when something will occur and Knuckles will.
Knuckles does his thing.
For some reason, they're going to do a Mimi and Sora on Knuckles and Amy, and Knuckles is suddenly going to become Amy. Which probably will result in a lot of fanfics. Actually, Kat, you're entirely right. But we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye. Is that another recording?
I'm waiting for Donnie to say goodbye.
Bye.
Oh.
Donnie didn't say goodbye. He was a rude Donnie. He didn't say goodbye.
Donnie.
I said bye.
I am shocked.
You have now. It's been pointed out. Dare you, Donnie? All those people who tune in especially for you.
All those people who tune in especially for you to say goodbye to them? That's kind of a sad existence.
You monster, Donnie.
But I don't think
monster, Donnie.
But I don't think anyone tunes in especially for me or
Wanna bet? Wanna bet?
You monster.
You monster.
How have you
Don't worry, Donnie.
Monster.
Donnie's getting his own spin-off soon. Everybody, don't worry. We love Donnie.